Come to the sub-communication decision tree. So we went over in the previous trainings on the decision tree of the script, right? The verbals. If they say this, you say this. If they say that, you say that. If you haven't, go back to the previous trainings, you'll go through it. Now, you may have heard a million times by being in the sales industry that, hey, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, but it's just true. The words only, there's different studies on it, there's the numbers vary, but basically like 10% or 15%, something like that. And all the other things are the nonverbals, also known as sub-communication, such as your tonality, the speed at which you talk, your body language, your facial expression. So those things accommodate for that. So in this training, you will go over, okay, when do I use a more concerned tone? When do I use a more skeptical tone? Because if you use wrong tone and wrong sub-communication at the wrong place of the conversation, it just doesn't do the job it's supposed to do, and the prospects shut down or they feel kind of weird. Okay. So on a general overview, what you want to do is tonality and assertiveness that you bring on the sales interaction. It's kind of like a crescendo. So if you ever played music, I played the violin when I was younger, very Asian, I know. But there's a music term called crescendo, which basically is the music notes gets louder as a time progresses, right? It's like, kind of like that. How beautiful did this sound? So that's how it's supposed to be. And that's the assertiveness on the sales call. That's how it's supposed to be. In the beginning, you're still calm and collected. You're not being a wimp, okay? But you're only getting more assertive as the call progresses. A common mistake that people make is that they're trying to be neutral, but they mistake as being passive and unconfident. So when they go in either in the words or the tonalities they use, they're like, hey, I guess like they're doing too much of that, so the prospect doesn't respect them, and that's when they get hit with those think about objections, things like that. So let's get to it. In the beginning of the call, you want to be more calm, confident, laid back. You're still going in confident, okay? But you're still being more laid back. You're not going like, hey, can you hear and see me okay? You're not going like that, but you're like, hey, Jack, can you hear and see me okay? You see the difference? You're not being like, hey, Jack, can you hear and see me okay? Hey, Jack, can you hear and see me okay? So calm, confident, but you're laid back. Hey, can you hear and see me okay? If you're doing like a voice call, I'm just like, hey, Jack, it's just Brian from this. So you're being like that. And the pace in the beginning is more quicker. Okay. And towards the call progresses, we're going to slow it the fuck down. The reason why we want to have different paces, and when I say quick, you're going like, hey, can you see me okay? Your questions are shorter. It's more of like a ping pong back and forth. What's towards the later of the call, we're going to slow it down. Like you making that amount of money, like 10K a month. What would that allow you to do that you can't really do right now? You're doing that on purpose because if you watch sports, okay, in the NBA basketball, there's a player called Kyrie Irving. So Kyrie Irving is, in my opinion, probably the best dribbler. He's really good with like dribbling basketball, and he's really fucking good, and he's very quick. And he's one of the best players in the league as the time of the recording right now. And the reason why defenders have such a hard time of defending him, even though he's not that big, is because he's not going that like super fast. He's not going slow. He changes speed. So what he'll do is he kind of hesitate and then he'll go fast. So the defenders kind of caught like a back on their back foot, so they can't like really guard him. It's kind of same thing in a sales call. It's not like you versus the prospect as an opponent, but what that does is when you have a difference between in the beginning you're kind of quick and lighthearted, towards when you become more assertive and when you have more kind of slow pace, it has more weight, it has more importance. So the prospect's like, oh, this is an important conversation. So now they start to give you more truthful answers, more deep, meaningful answers. Okay. So in the beginning, you're kind of like quick back and forth. Towards when you're going like the first question of, hey, do you know what you're looking for when it comes to X? You're having more curious. Okay. You don't want to have a downward inflection like, hey, do you know what you're looking for when it comes to making more money? You don't want to do it like that because what that does is too serious. So again, as well, you also want to smile in the beginning. It's going to feel awkward, I know. And especially because if you're like me, if you're from Asia or Eastern Europe, especially, or if you're just like, as a man, we just don't smile that much, it's just going to feel weird. But what's happening is that, especially in Western culture, when the prospect hops on, whether in a Zoom call or an audio call, because they can still hear it, if you don't smile, you sound a bit tense. And in the beginning is when your prospects are the most guarded up. So you want to diffuse that. How you do that is by, hey, Jack, can you see me okay? So you're not going like this, like an idiot, right? But you're being on like the ends of your mouth are kind of more towards up. they're pointing out. Okay, so you don't make a conscious effort to that. It's gonna feel fake. It's supposed to be because you haven't been doing enough. Okay, if you don't have any issues with that, that's fine. But if you smile just by that, they'll disarm and they'll open up to you more. You just smile. Okay, do you know what you're looking for when it comes to whatever? Okay, do you know what you're looking for when it comes to your health and fitness? Do you know what you're looking for? Upward inflection. When it comes to X, upward inflection. You don't want to do you know what you're looking for? Because it's too serious, they're going to shut down. Okay. Do you know what you're looking for when it comes to what you want out of a business? You see that? You're so calm and collected. But yeah, do you know what you're looking for? Okay. And you can practice out loud as you're going through this. That'll really help. Okay. So, like, as I say it, you say it, listen back to this, repeat. Okay. Do you know what you're looking for when it comes to I won't do my hands, so it's confusing. Do you know what you're looking for when it comes to what you want out of a business? Do you know what you're looking for when it comes to your health and fitness? Do you know what you're looking for when it comes to growing your business? Just insert the thing, but curious, right? Do you know what you're looking for? Upward inflection when it comes to your X, upward inflection. Okay. So, yeah, so after that, you'll go into what are you doing to get X now? Then you're still curious. Oh, what are you doing to lose weight now? What are you doing to grow the business now? What are you doing to get more leads now? What are you doing for a living now? Curious. Okay. And they said they're doing this. Oh, how long have you been doing that? Curious. Okay. Boom. And then we go into the problem section. Towards problem, then we want to go more into a bit concerned. Okay. In the beginning, you're a bit curious, skeptical, then you want to go into concern. You'll be like, is it working? Okay. From here. Was it working? Well, do you like it? You're still curious but skeptical. You're not like, is it working? You're not skeptical like that, but is it working? And they'll say yes or no. And towards when they start talking about the actual problem, meaning that, yeah, I'm not making enough money, I'm stuck, it's inconsistent. Inconsistent? So you're a bit concerned, a bit curious, right? You're kind of tilting your head a little bit. Inconsistent? Not enough money? Stuck? You're curious but a bit concerned. It's a bit of both. You're not going like, not making enough money. That's too serious. They're going to be like, whoa, what's going on? So you still have a bit of curiousness, which makes it seem conversational, but still a bit concerned. Okay. And then if they say something like, yeah, I've just been exhausted, you want to take up the notch of the concern level by a bit. Okay. So you'd be like, exhausted. Okay. So as they open up more, you don't want to overcook it, but you want to do it a bit more. Okay. After that, at this question, oh, it could be trouble, but why look at a more consistent lead generation process instead of just, I don't know, just keep relying on the referrals or something? Kind of skeptical, kind of curious. You're like, why do that instead of this? You're kind of like that, right? So why look at starting a business to make more money? Why look at starting something like an Airbnb business to make more money instead of just, I don't know, just work more hours in your job or something? Right? Skeptical, curious. And towards around this, okay, after that you become more neutral, still kind of curious when you're asking about it. And then towards when you get to solution, so when you're asking about, so before you start talking about where you're looking for ways to start a business so you could make more money, or what have you been doing? Kind of in that tone, kind of neutral, kind of curious. Have you been doing this, or what have you been doing? Okay. And at this point, there goes the decision tree of either they try something, they didn't, or they start to make excuses. If they start to make excuses and you're doing reframes, you want to become more stern. Okay. So if they say something like, yeah, I just haven't had the time, and when you're actually reframing it, they can have a perspective on that. You start to becoming more stern, right? You're gradually increasing it. They'll be, yeah, sure. So Elon Musk, just like you and me, we'll have 24 hours in a day, right? So why is it that some people accomplish more, some people don't? Don't listen to my words. Listen to my tonality here, okay? So you're being more stern, right? So could it be possible that it's not like you didn't have the time? It's that you had the time, you just didn't prioritize it to get to your goal. More stern. You see the difference? In the beginning, you're like, hey, can you see me okay? And now you're like, either you have the time or you make the time. More stern, right? You're not being like, oh, in their face, but you start to becoming more stern. They'd be like, yeah, I guess you're right. Right. So how do you feel like needs to change within yourself? That way you actually make the time so you can retire your wife. More stern. And they say like, well, I need to make the time. Yes, you need to, but are you willing to get outside of your comfort zone? That's more assertive, right? And so the more and more, all we're trying to do here, like all the neutral questions and all that in the beginning, is only so that we can get the conversation to interaction to a point where we can be assertive and we can have a real conversation. That's all we're trying to do. Because imagine if you could just tell, hey man, you're not stepping up. Hey man, you're making excuses. Do something about it. And then do it. Wouldn't our sales call be so much easier? Right? Just having no need to jump around hoops, no need to beat around the bush. We can just tell the truth. That's what we want. But in the beginning, if they do that, they met you 3 minutes ago. So they're going to only push back. They're like, who the fuck are you? But through the questions, we challenge them. And in tonality, we gradually increase it. And that's how we get the conversation to a point where we can actually have a real conversation. You see that? So you're being more assertive there. Okay. And after you reframe that, then now you go back to neutral. Okay, so let's do this because I want to make sure what we do would work for you. So what are you looking for in the program to help you start a business and make more money? Right? So we're being neutral. Okay. We're being more neutral. Okay. You don't need to slow down here. Neutral. And then we go here. This is when we slow down. Okay. When we go into quote unquote future pacing goals, when you ask them, so you solving problem, getting outcome, how things be different. So let's just say you're able to get the accountability so you can get to 10K a month. What would that allow you to do that you can't really do right now? See how we're slowing down? What would that allow you to do that you can't really do right now? And what I found is effective is if you look up like diagonally, I like to do it on my top left, my eyes. What would that allow you to do that you can't really do right now? How would your life be, I don't know, I guess, different than it is now? How'd your life look, I guess, different than it is now? So what that does is when you look up, they start to look up, they mirror you, okay? And because of that, now they start to visualize how their life would be different. It's an NLP technique. And so when you do that, now you get a more emotional, visualizable answer. So you want to slow down here because now, before we're like quick pace, now it's slow down, you start to get more meaningful, deeper emotional answers, okay? And from there, whenever they're telling you about their goal, about like what that'll allow you to do, you want to look extra interested. Okay. So let's just say they're talking about like, oh, I with that money, I want to retire my parents. Oh, really? Why do you want to do that? Oh, that's awesome. What makes you want to do that? You're leaning in, you're really interested. And as a default, if your facial expression or your tonality doesn't tend to have that much modulation in it, you want to over exaggerate. I'm one of those people. I have to over exaggerate. Otherwise, people can't tell. People think I'm disinterested, even though I'm interested. So they don't open up. They give you surface area answers. Okay. So you want to look exaggerated, interested, and actually lean forward in your body language. Okay. Yeah, from there, I can fit in my wedding dress, make me feel confident. Oh, that's awesome. What do you mean by confident? So you're leaning in. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, no way. That's awesome. So you want to do that. That makes them, oh, this person's interested. Let me talk about that thing more. That's what happens. Okay. Now, after that, you get into the emotional question, which is, so you being able to, call up your parents. You're like, hey guys, you've done so much for us. Don't go to work tomorrow. I got you. How does it make you feel being that guy? So you slow down, you're curious, and also almost you're compassionate. Okay. Like, how does it make you feel? Genuinely interested. Get genuine interest. How does that make you feel? So you fit in the wedding dress. You're walking down your aisle, and you look awesome. People think you look awesome. How does it make you feel being that wife for your husband? Oh man, that would be the world, right? So you get this. You want to like lean in. You want to get into it, almost like you're an actor, right? When actors, I took like one acting class, by the way, but something I learned when actors actually do that, right? If you look at Leo DiCaprio, if you look at something like Heath Ledger, the greatest actors in Hollywood, for example, when they say the words, they're not just saying the words, they're putting their emotions behind it as if they're that character. Okay, so the character you're playing here, quote unquote, is you're actually, dude, how does it make you feel? You want to do that. After that, we bring it back down to reality. Okay, so with the current skills you have in trading now, how close are you to being able to make that phone call? At that point, you want to be a bit concerned, a bit skeptical. Okay. And so you'll say something like, so instead of saying like, so how close are you? That's too concerned, right? But you want to be a bit skeptical. The reason why is because then it's like, okay, like how close are you? Okay, now they have to think. They're like, not that close. After that, towards cost of inaction, consequence, you want to be more concerned. You want to lean forward. Okay. Okay, but what happens if you don't do anything and you keep being stuck in your cubicle and your parents keep working until they're 70 years old? What happens then? Actually concerned, lean forward, and you kind of want to tilt your head a little bit, right? So, well, what happens then? Kind of like this. So what that does is now you're not being up in their face like this, right? But you're leaning forward more, right? So what happens then? Because you seem concerned, and now they're like, this would happen. They're more likely to open up to you. Okay. And after that, you would ask them, they're like, oh, yeah, it would suck because my parents are going to work until they're 70, da da da. You want to settle for that? You want to be more skeptical, and that's when you lean back. Okay. You're leaning forward, and then now they're, yeah, it's going to suck, da da da. You're going to settle for that? Almost you're challenging them, right? You're going to settle for that? They're like, no. Because now what I do is like, hey, are you going to settle for that? Is it the best you can do? So they're like, no. And then after that, after you do like, why now? Then you want to bring that to neutral in your pitch. You want to sound confident, not like over-exaggerated car salesman, but confident. This is the plan. Yep. You said your problem is this. This is what we're going to do. You want to sound like the man with the plan, woman with the plan, whatever, right? That's the tonality, the sub-communication decision tree. I wish I could give you a more sexier way to explain this and sexier way to like give this to you. But the thing with sub-communication is that like it's not like a scripting where like, hey, say this. Because it's like when you're riding a bike, hey, how do I ride the bike so I don't fall off? Well, you don't go to 3 degrees to the left. It's not like that, right? So some more of like you got to get a hang of it. Like again, depending on your personality as well. Different people can get it with different things. But this is a general overview. Okay. So go practice this. You want to sound, the biggest thing is you want to sound certain and sound interested. That's the biggest thing. Okay. If you take away anything from this training, go practice this. Listen back to this if you have to. Okay. Go implement it. Go post in the community. Next training.